Seems to be a lot of holes in this piece of trim. However, I don't know how concerned I am about that, because this whole piece of trim gets covered by that wonderful set of blinds we hung yesterday. I don't know if you can tell on camera or not, but I got a little low on paint here onto the window. Luckily, the window is vinyl, so I can grab my rag, grab my 5-in-1, lay it over the rag like this, and come in and clean that edge up. Just that simple. It's like pushing the easy button. I'm a big fan of that. I tend to try to get the material on an edge that doesn't matter. Then I come back to where I have to have a steady hand and do the finished edge. In my opinion, painting is something that a lot of people rush through, and that's their mistake. If you take your time, you'll end up with a better job. So as you can see, I'm working my way out. This surface, and then I'm going to go around to this side. And I'm at about the halfway point, halfway down the window. Go back to the other side and do the same thing. Start on the rough edge because I can get the material on that way. Then come back and do the finished edge. Now, in my career as a contractor, I never painted professionally. I'll only paint for myself. I was taught by a professional painter, professionally painted for a year or so, and decided that I'd rather take a beating than paint. Problem is I'm pretty good at it, and people have seen it, and they try to hire me to paint. I just refer them to Matt. One part of painting a window, or the casing on a window, that people tend to struggle with is, what do you do when you get down to here? Well, you see how I'm doing that stabby stab motion? That's getting the paint in the inside corner, getting enough material in the inside corner, and what it allows me to do is take my brush stroke up where it needs to be. So it sort of seems obvious to me, but it's not obvious to everyone. Your brush stroke when you're painting something like this should always be with the grain. So as you can see, this is kind of sloppy down here right now, but I wanted to get that paint stabbed in there. So then what I'll do after I get my casing done, all of its edges, I'll actually work the paint in the direction of the other piece of trim. This chair rail is going this way, But then down here on the sill, I'll just do this really quick to make sure the paint isn't pooling up and that my brush strokes are the same as the way the wood grain is going. So then I can paint the sill, and when I come in to paint the sill, I tend to go heavy on a sill. Sills get abused. People set things on them and stuff like that. So if you notice when the brush gets in view here, I've got a little bit of pressure on the brush. The bristles are actually bent so I can get that nice clean edge. This comes with practice. Not everybody is a professional right when they start out. So if any of you are watching this and you're looking for summer employment, my friend Matt is always hiring in the summer. He gets very busy in the summer. Paints a lot of exteriors of homes. So there you go, brush strokes with the wood grain, with this wood grain and with this wood grain. I did notice that I missed a spot when I came around this way and looked at it. So we fixed that. Dark lines, you want to get rid of dark lines when you're painting. Okay, there's a couple more strategies I want to show you with brushwork. If you have the ability to have or the opportunity to get one of these little things that hangs a brush, what I typically do is I soak the brush with paint and then just hang and let it drip. That way the paint on the brush doesn't dry. You want to keep the paint wet. The other thing is I want to talk about how to paint a door. So this is a paneled door and it's got built-in blinds in the middle there. We don't want to talk about how much that costs, but anyway, these panels need to be painted, and a lot of people struggle with painting doors, and rightly so. They're not the easiest thing in the world to paint. Now, this is a fiberglass door, and it's a smooth fiberglass door. There's no wood grain etched into it or a wood grain design to follow. However, if this were a wood door or an aluminum door or a metal door, steel door that has wood grain pattern in it, the wood grain would be going up and down here. It would be going left and right here, left and right down here, and up and down here. But the first thing you need to paint on a door are these panels. And it's really kind of a good idea to let the panels dry first before you start painting this or this. Especially if you're a novice, especially if you've never painted a door before or you're not good at it. So what I do with these doors that do not have a wood grain on them, I treat them like they do have a wood grain. So I start, and if this were a frame, the wood grain would be going this way on this and up and down like this, down here like this. Now this door's never been painted before, so I'm going to do 2 coats of paint on it. As you can see, this is not a very heavy coat of paint. I don't want a heavy coat of paint, especially with all these grooves, because the paint will gather in there and it'll run and drip. Okay, so you need to pay attention to which way the wood grain would be going, like if this were a frame. So I've gone around and I've done the frame of the panel. The next thing I need to do is this paint that's here and here, I need to make sure that my brush strokes are going with the grain before I walk away. So I'm just going to hit these really quick, right along that line there, and right along this line here. That way my brush strokes are already going in the right direction when I go to paint the rest of the door. Now, like I said, there's 2 coats going on here, but sometimes when you paint over over someone else's paint or your own paint, and you're doing the second layer, your brush strokes from the first layer will come through. So you need to treat every coat as if it's the finish coat. But like I said, I'm doing a light coat of paint on this because I don't want drips. It forces me to do 2 coats, but the end result is that much better. So, just take a look at everything before you walk away from the panel. I've got a little drip here. Take care of that. Now you're not going to get perfect with your brush strokes on these, but it'll be damn good enough. Now, if this wasn't an exterior door, I would have taken the door off and laid it flat on horses to paint it. That really helps with drip prevention. Well, I hope you learned something today. I'm going to finish painting this door.